Okay, so I've prepared a quick 5-minute presentation. Hopefully it should be 5 minutes. Out of all the Spider-Man comics I've got, I could have been talking about Superior Spider-Man, which was a big thing a few years back, which got me back into the Spider-Man comics as opposed to the kiddie stuff I got with the newsagents. Or I could be talking about the current Spider-Man comics with the whole Spider-Verse thing where every Spider-Man in every universe is coming together to kick backsides and stuff. But no, I'm going to turn it into a bit of an odd case scenario tonight and talk about a small story called Learning to Crawl, which was just released after Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 came back in 2014. I've got all 4 issues, all 5 issues, in case anyone was interested in reading them. Yeah, just a bit of background information. There were 5 issues, labelled 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, etc. And they came around July to November 2014. Of course, the writer is Dan Slott, who is the current writer of the Spider-Man series, and he's doing a great job. And the main artist is Ramon Perez, and the guy who does colours is Ewan Herring. And the main thing you need to know is that the small story of Learning to Crawl is based back in the 1960s, just as we've discussed earlier, that after Spider-Man's big origin story of being by radioactive spider, responsibility, blah blah blah. But if I recommend these comics for anyone who's not really interested in what's going on in the main Spider-Man comics at the moment, who usually you need to say, oh, you need to read this and this to understand what's going on in the current thing. But no, you just need to know the origin story to read these 5. That's what you need to know. There's very little continuity. The main story, so Peter Parker's just had the experience of Uncle Ben's death, and he's starting his life as a superhero, and he's starting to find ways to sort of become popular as Spider-Man, and maybe get some money out of doing his superhero career and stuff. But one man in particular, Clayton Cole, who was the first ever person to ask for Spider-Man's autograph, was so inspired by Spider-Man, he wanted to be like him, and he had a scientific advantage with his use of sounds, and he was able to use sound waves and use them as a gadget, and it became Clash, which is the big thing. And you can tell from his costume design he was inspired by Spider-Man at the time. And there's a particular event in issue 1.2 where Clash asks Spider-Man to fight him, and Clash wanted to win, and if he did win, he'd pay Spider-Man for it. But Spider-Man, of course, says, no, I'm sort of already established as a hero, so I'm going to web you up and get away with it, even though I don't get paid. And so Clash feels betrayed and decides to make a name for himself and stuff. And what do I know? So I'm trying to do this without spoilers, because the 5th and final part, which has a nice cover, is quite a nostalgic cover with all the different heads of characters at the time. I think issue 5 is when it really feels nice and gets together. The art style, again, this is one of those things that I sort of recommend to newbies at comics, because usually newer comics nowadays have a lot of development into their backgrounds and their lighting and shading and lots of layers and photoshopping and stuff. Whereas these comics, they have much more basic backgrounds, basic colouring, and stuff that makes an artist feel there is an easier approach to getting a successful comic from appearance. That's what I believe. And of course, some of the layouts of some of the pages are quite 60s based, with their basic square panels in very neatly organised style. There's no sort of circles or triangles slashing them apart. I think the covers are quite nice. That they're the ones that are properly artistic and try to make Spider-Man look as realistic as possible. I mean, of course, that looks like a real costume in actual New York, and again, this is quite interesting. What Spider-Man actually looked like in the real world in that particular costume, because in the 60s he had a different spider icon to the one he's got now and stuff like that. I've noticed little details. How long has that been? Has that been 5 minutes, I think? I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I think. Cool. Yeah. Again, that's question.
Are there any? Is there going to be like a continuation of this story, or is it pretty much just finished?
The only continuity it has into the main series is one little thing where Clash, years on in the current and present day, Clash does actually help Spider-Man by coincidence being there, using his sound technology. He has some kind of sound gun in issue 1.7, I think, just before the Spider-Verse. But apart from that, again, no spoilers. There's very little continuity. So,
cool. Yeah, no worries.
That's about it. Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks and sweets.
Yay.
That was good. Enjoyed that.
Try and
that.